Our next speaker is a member of this year's LLM class. Federico Arata was born and raised in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He is a graduate of Universidad Torquato di Tella, where he was an assistant professor. Federico specializes in international arbitration and business law, and in the fall will join the Miami office of Holland & Knight as an international associate. Please welcome our LLM class speaker, Federico Arata.
Thank you, Carlos. Good afternoon, graduates, faculty, staff, family, and friends. 280 days ago, I arrived at LAX after an 18-hour flight. I grabbed my luggage and took a taxi to Westwood to meet a fellow LLM. We didn't know each other and had only exchanged a few messages, but we had decided to share an apartment for the year. Right after we met, I asked him to show me around. I was eager to take a look at the famous UCLA campus. As we made our way through the Bruin Walk and buildings like the Powell Library and the Royce Hall, a smile crept across my face. I was absolutely impressed. He looked at me and laughed. He had experienced the same feeling a couple of days ago and understood how I felt. We couldn't believe how fortunate we were to be able to study in such nice surroundings for the year ahead. We later started searching for apartments in Westwood, and as my fellow graduates know, it wasn't no easy task. After a couple of days, we found a nice apartment that could accommodate 3 people, and so we decided to ask someone else to join us. The more, the merrier. After sharing a pizza at Barney's with a fellow LLM student who was also looking for a place to stay, we decided to move forward with the apartment. 3 complete strangers hailing from France, Uruguay, and Argentina, sharing an apartment for a year. What could possibly go wrong? Today, only 280 days later, I can confidently say that we will be lifelong friends. I share our experience because I know that it will resonate among most of you. Many of us arrived in Los Angeles without knowing any of the other LLMs and without knowing where we will live. Well, maybe not the Swiss. Those guys probably had everything planned years ago. Many of you chose to share an apartment with someone you don't know and that today you consider your friend. And even if that's not your case, you know what I'm talking about. Do you remember how you felt the first time you met the LLMs and had to start a relationship out of thin air? What about the first day of the orientation period when you were asked to stand in front of the whole class? They say life is what happens once you step out of your comfort zone. Well, if that's true, then we really lived this past year. 187 students coming from 33 different countries make the LLM class of 2017. I guess that we will never have to worry about booking a hotel ever again. Among us, there are government officials, practicing lawyers, business executives, academics, and graduates fresh out of law school. Although we may come from different countries and speak different languages, we'll have one thing in common. We left the comfort of our countries, the security of our jobs, and our loved ones in the pursuit of our best version as persons and as lawyers. To that end, we traveled from the corners of the world to join UCLA, one of the greatest academic institutions in the world. During the LLM, we have learned the black letter law and have read countless cases. And thanks to cold calling, we can now comfortably argue complex legal issues before large audiences. We have spent so much time at the library that we actually forgot how beer tasted like. And for the first time, the LLMs have lost the beer tasting competition. But not everything has been about the study of the law. The LLM is much more than that. We have also shared birthdays, Thanksgiving, spring break, activities like tailgating, surfing, skiing, and we have traveled together across the US. We've also shared our cultures, our fears, and our hopes, and we have realized that we are similar in many ways. Although life at Los Angeles has been like la 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 most of the time, especially on Karaoke Tuesday at Barney's, there were moments when it wasn't that easy to be away from our countries and our loved ones. I know the French have particularly missed their cheese and their wine. It's hard to believe that the LLM is over, but it's now time to take the next step, the next challenge. That's why this ceremony is called Commencement. It's both a moment of celebration and reflection. At this time, I would like to share with you a passage of a letter that my uncle, a lawyer by profession but a philosopher at heart, wrote to me for my senior year of high school. It goes, "I would like to tell you two things. The first is that your path in life won't always be clear. There will be tough times, expected and unexpected setbacks, and you will be up and you will be down. The key is to find balance. When you're up, know that you can fall. And when you're down, know that you won't be there forever. In the sea, the waves always level each other. That's what's life about being level most of the time possible. The second thing that you should know is that it's up to you to accomplish the things that you desire. No one can do that for you. In life, the good and the bad are up to you, and they are an option. That's why you should get out there and pursue your goals. And in that pursuit, follow your heart, follow your dreams, and make as many mistakes as you need as long as you're being yourself. Never regret what you have done. Regret what you haven't done, and never betray yourself. Never let other people alter your path. Find your own way, and you may do well or you may do bad, but trust me, you're gonna be happy. Live life a day at a time, and you'll find that the only thing that will matter to you is to be at peace with yourself at night when you rest your head on the pillow." This letter has provided me guidance in important moments of my life, and that's why I wanted to share with you. Only 2 months after I received this letter, my uncle unexpectedly passed away. I know that many of you have also lost loved ones, and in a day like this, a high point in our lives, you're also thinking of them. That event reminded me of a simple but very powerful fact of life, one that as young people we naturally forget. It is that we lived on borrowed time. Life, family, and friends are gifts that cannot be taken for granted. We should live our lives how we live this LLM, where we made the most of every single moment because we knew it would be a swift experience. Here, we were always open to meet new people, and we were always open to new experiences. If we live our lives the same way, we will surely lead great lives. It's now time to thank the people that made this possible. Family and friends, we couldn't have achieved this without your constant support. That goes especially to our parents. We appreciate all the effort and sacrifices you have made for us, and we hope that you know that most of the things we do is to make you proud. This experience had a great impact on us, and we're happy that you're here today to share this moment with us, and that you can finally meet our newfound friends. Thank you. We love you. On behalf of the LLMs, I would also like to thank Dean Menukin and Lara Semple for making this program possible and for bringing us all together. One of the features that distinguish the UCLA School of Law is the amazing quality of its faculty. Professors, thank you for challenging us during every single lesson and for always taking the time to talk with us after class about the law or any other concern we might have. I would also like to thank Vic Telesino, Tiffany Parnell, Brian Hansen, and the rest of the staff for supporting us in the LLM and for responding so promptly to the great amount of emails we sent you. Thank you. I really don't know how you do it. JDs, I feel like we have been guests at your home, and you have been terrific hosts. The LLM experience would not be the same without you. Thank you, and we wish you all the best. LLM class of 2017. We did it. We resisted the temptation of skipping class and flying off to Mexico, and we were finally graduating. I know what you're thinking about. How did it go by so fast? But it wasn't always that way. Do you remember how slow time went by at Introduction to US Law at Friday mornings after having a couple of drinks at Bar Review? It's now time to part ways. Some will take the fear bar exam, some will remain at the US for an internship, and some will return back home. Wherever you go, know that we are now Bruins, and as such, we must uphold the values that this university promotes and holds dear. It has been an absolute privilege to share this experience with you. I cannot wait to see what every one of you will achieve in the years to come. I will wish you luck, but the truth is that you don't need it. Throughout this past year, I have seen what you are capable of, and I'm certain that each and every one of you will go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you, Federico. Our next presenter is no stranger to our class. Linda Zhang was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. She is a graduate of Harvard College. While in law school, she has served as a co-chair of the Asian Pacific Islander Law Student Association and an editor for the UCLA Law Review. In the fall, Linda will begin her legal career as an associate at the law firm of Perkins Coie in San Francisco. Please welcome my friend and our fearless leader, SBA President Linda Zhang.
Thank you, Carlos. Every year, the graduating class selects a Professor of the Year. This year, I have the honor of presenting the award to Professor Richard Ray. I was lucky enough to have a coveted spot in Professor Ray's Digital Fourth Amendment seminar in my last semester of law school. In true digital fashion, I crowdsourced some ideas via email by asking classmates what they'd like to highlight in my remarks. The #1 comment I received beyond Professor Ray's passion for teaching was Professor Ray's passion for puns. He starts off every doctrinal constitutional criminal procedure or federal courts class with a Ray cap and runs a blog called Ray's Judicata. On that note, here are my Ray marks on Professor Ray. I first met Professor Ray last year when I reached out to him about a paper for a class. Even though he wasn't my professor then, he was more than willing to meet with me and was excited to talk about my paper topic. From advising students on papers, to taking part in student organization speaker panels, from participating in one of Law Review's first podcast episodes, to organizing class movie outings, Professor Ray truly cares about his students and student life at UCLA Law. In class, Professor Ray is a phenomenal teacher, making complex material accessible while also making familiar legal issues more complex by challenging us to take a side, all the while keeping class fun with a dose of humor. In one class activity, we played the role of Supreme Court justices to grill a classmate on his argument. Professor Ray served as the Chief Justice. In class discussions on an aspect of a case or the legal implications of a future technology, Professor Ray has us raise our hands to take a side. He then has us defend the side we take, teaching us to be advocates and to believe that our opinions as attorneys will shape the future of policies and case law. The class of 2017 would like to thank you, Professor Ray, for your dynamic teaching and dedication to your students' growth as writers, thinkers, and advocates. We hope that we will incorporate some of your passion for the law as well as passion for puns in our future careers.
So, it's come to this. You've memorized holdings, you've taken exams, you've written papers, and now the last thing standing between you and your hard-earned diplomas is me. In other words, this is going to be the final lecture you ever have to sit through while being students at the UCLA School of Law. I can see you guys are broken up about this. You don't have to look quite so happy. I'm especially touched to have the opportunity to speak with you today because I started here at UCLA 3 years ago at the same time as many of you. Since then, you've been busy learning how to be lawyers, but you've also been busy teaching me how to be a law professor. and I will be grateful for that for the rest of my career. Now, since you voted for me to be your speaker, with obvious notice, I think it only makes sense for me to do one of my trademarked recaps, summarizing the key points you learned during law school. This is not coordinated, by the way, with Linda. And no, I'm not going to be repeating old lessons about the Fourth Amendment, or even the Marx Rule, or talking about how you always need to check for subject matter jurisdiction, though you do definitely need to do that. I'm not going to talk about baking with cake mix, or about how the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. That's right. Or whether I really do sleep with a copy of Hart and Wexler's The Federal Courts and the Federal System under my pillow. Yeah. No, I'm not going to talk about any of those things, because after 3 years of cold calling, I think it's finally time to stop hiding the ball. So here it is, your final 3-point recap. Point number 1, becoming a lawyer has changed the way you think. In one sense, this change is obvious. Thanks to long experience with the Socratic method, papers, and exams, you've absorbed a lot of valuable legal knowledge and know-how. CEG, your newfound ability to understand the phrase, CEG. But the deeper point is that you've changed your habits of mind. Cold calling has made you calmer under pressure. Papers have made it second nature for you to anticipate counterarguments. And late-night study sessions have taught you how to have fun while solving difficult legal problems together. Now, maybe the most important thing you've learned is actually a point that echoes the remarks we heard made quite poignantly by Judge Wofford just now, which is that law school has given you a better ability to see both sides of any issue. You know there's no way to defend a legal answer without seriously considering all the alternatives. Now, being able to see both sides doesn't mean that you agree with the other side. It doesn't even mean meeting the other side halfway, though that sometimes may be a good idea. Instead, the most important reason to see both sides is to better understand and advocate for your own position. What is true of the law is true of ourselves. Only when we confront our own biggest vulnerabilities can we truly understand our own greatest strengths. Don't forget this point once you enter practice. After getting invested in a case, it is supremely tempting to think that your side is obviously correct. But the best lawyers will always be able to step back and see the issue from the opposing party's point of view. Every good lawyer must contain multitudes. That leads me to my next point. Point number 2. Early in your legal careers, there are going to be good times and there are going to be bad times, and you are prepared for them both. New lawyers, like not-so-new lawyers, make mistakes and suffer misfortunes. I would know. During my short time in practice, I won cases and I lost cases. I've had the thrill of telling clients that we'd won, and I've had to look a client in the eye and tell him that we suffered a defeat. Almost every lawyer has been there, and the reason is simple. Nobody is perfect enough or lucky enough to win them all or to do everything just right. Remember this, when the hard times and setbacks come, you are not the first and you will not be the last attorney to have to face them. And that's not all. Even though you are all incredibly talented and well prepared, part of what it takes to become a great lawyer is to grapple with failure. So be candid with the client who just lost her case. Dust yourself off from an unexpected defeat. Apologize when you make a mistake and never do it again. If you face the hard times with determination and honesty, you will get through them. More than that, you will discover that even the biggest roadblocks are often stepping stones toward a greater or different kind of success. To borrow from James Joyce, even errors can sometimes be portals of discovery, or at least that's what I tell myself. Finally, point number 3. Now that you are full-fledged lawyers, you basically have a superpower. And it's a good thing, too, because we have some pretty humongous challenges right now. But anybody can tell that there are hard issues lurking out there. Figuring out that much is easy. What's hard, as you've learned, very hard, is to develop the expertise and creativity to address the big issues based on rigorous legal analysis. Of course, in some cases, we discover that there is no clear legal answer, or that the law gives us an answer that's unsatisfying or even bad. But just because a law is bad doesn't mean that the law is broken. Part of the reason for having law is to provide a vehicle for progress. The journey might be slow or halting. Going 2 steps forward might require first taking a step back. But over time, we hope that the law can work itself pure. We need your help in that work. Because lawyers have a unique ability to see, to criticize, and to change the law, your time here at UCLA has given you a special power and a special responsibility to change the world. As some of you know, I like to think back to what Uncle Ben said to Peter Parker. With great power comes great responsibility. Well, at the end of law school, you have a very great power indeed, and we're counting on you to use it well. Thank you, class of 2017, and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our speakers.